Jabba, C, Leia even? Well, let's be honest, Leia's a little bit more questionable here, guys. But this character beats a ton of top-tier teams in GAC and in other game modes as well. But he is constantly getting robbed, everybody. Just robbed. If you are tired of having your banner stolen like I am, guys, well, good news, because today we have a new Conquest character that we're going to be doing a little segment on, if you will, to help Slicker no longer have those banners stolen from him, guys. We're going to be getting into a video series today that I like to call
Making the Grade.
With that being said, guys, we're going to be checking out a series here that we call Making the Grade, where we're going to be evaluating all aspects of this character, both in terms of her kit design, where we think she should go, where some possible alternatives might be for her, and then, of course, at the very end of the video, guys, we're going to be grading how good she is across the game modes, and in general, how good she is. That way, you guys know whether she is worth your investment and your time in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look, first of all, guys, at kind of an overview of our character here. First and foremost, Darkside Rey, guys, or I call her Darkside Rey or Dark Rey sometimes, but it's technically Rey Darkside Vision. But anyway, whatever your acronym of choice is, you can go with it, guys. So she is a Darkside character. She is an attacker. She fits primarily under First Order. She's technically usable under Sith. She has the Sith tag. We'll get more into that in a second. But those are clearly the big four overviews in terms of tags that she has, guys. In terms of the team comps, she's pretty much stuck in a square peg, so to speak. So she pretty much entirely fits under a First Order lead of some kind. The best two in particular are Slicker, or Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and crew leads. So she's really designed to work under that Slicker lead, everybody. But there's been some really intriguing things happening with her under a crew lead because of the whole turn meter aspect of things that it comes with his kit. Plus some of the recovery as well with his kit too. So there's some very interesting things happening with that, where that's able to actually beat some pretty cool things on offense as well. You could theoretically also use a Hux lead. However, a lot of her kit is really significantly neutered if you don't have a Kylo Ren in the leadership position. We'll talk more about that when we get into the kit itself. Also, technically, she's a Sith. She could work with C. She could work with Bane, but that is not an ideal situation, guys. I personally do not recommend this. If in the rare occasion that you actually have a C or a Bane and you don't have any First Order, or specifically any Kylo Ren leads, I would not prioritize her. You do not really want her, in my opinion, unless you have First Order. If you have a First Order team up and running, then yes, you absolutely want to pursue her. But if all you have to work with, guys, is Sith and not First Order, very much neutered in this instance. Okay, let's get into her abilities more specifically, guys, and we'll talk about kind of what she has to work with and why some of these team comps are so ideal for her. So first of all, her basic is Surrender to Darkness. That's the title of it. It deals physical damage. It also can ignore 50% protection, and it can deal damage up to 3 times. So again, some of that, guys, the deal damage up to 3 times in particular is clause specific. You can look into the kit details specifically if you want that. It's going to happen a decent amount, just be aware of that, but it's not always going to happen. If you are dealing damage 3 times in a hit, guys, then you are able to fear that enemy as well. In my testing, personally, I have not gotten a ton of instances of 3 damage. More than often I get 2, but it is possible to hit that, and it is a nice bonus when you do get that fear on the board. First special, Corrupted Reflection. She does physical damage for this ability. It is an AoE primarily, but it also can do individual damage on the target if there has been an enemy defeated on the other team. If there has not been an enemy defeated yet, then that individual damage does not happen. In addition to this, First Order gain Retaliate and Retribution. We'll learn more about Retaliate later. Remember, Retaliate is where damage is reflected back on the opponent. Retribution is when you counterattack. Also, if Slicker is your lead character, then he gains 10% ult whenever this ability is used. So again, that's one of those reasons why we say about having either Slicker or Kylo Ren of some kind in the lead is very beneficial. This is a big one. He really gains that ult much quicker with her in particular. Special number 2, Malevolent Lineage. This is really the big one in my opinion. The first special is pretty good, but it's more of a support role. This is the one where you can actually do some pretty significant damage and really cripple the opposing team. There's a lot of words, guys. Be aware of this. So, first of all, you do true damage. That true damage is split up among the enemies. So, what that exact damage looks like depends on how many enemies there are. So, if you're towards the end of the match and there's only 2 enemies left, it does a lot more damage to those 2 enemies than it would if there were 5. So, be aware of that. The damage does scale based on how many enemies there are. You also can shock those enemies. You call Kylo to assist. Again, that's if it's a Kylo lead. That's why it's labeled as Kylo and not Slicker, guys. It could be either version of Kylo. Plus, non-tank allies will gain stealth. The exception to this is the lead, okay? So if Kylo is your leader, whether it's crew or whether it's Slicker, that lead character does not gain stealth. This is where it might be a little bit of a nod to crew being kind of a better lead. If this was just Slicker in the lead, then it's not necessarily super ideal. You don't necessarily want him exposed. But the big thing here is that it's kind of a nice little bonus for a crew lead if you're running that crew lead. Again, each lead has its advantages in terms of the kit. I think she's primarily designed to work under Slicker, but there's some nice bonuses there if you have the crew lead. Also, when you use this ability, Slicker gains Siphon and 100% defense, if I remember correctly, this is the exact number, if Slicker is the lead. So remember, that one is specific to Slicker. That is not for any Kylo, guys. And the Siphon, I believe, was 5%, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. Now, the Omicron portion of this ability does have an Omicron, and it is a GAC Omicron. This is a pretty significant Omicron. I do highly recommend it. It is probably not the top priority Omicron, but it is a very good one and definitely worth investing in. So the shock is locked. What that means is it can't be resisted, it can't be dispelled. It's a locked debuff. Enemies cannot be revived. This is a really good one. If defeated by this ability, okay? It has to be this ability that defeats the enemy for them to not be revived. So if you basic on that enemy or somebody else kills them, they can still be revived. So be aware of that, everybody. Also, when she does this ability, she removes 100% turn meter. That's from everybody, not just the enemy. That's from everybody, guys. That's a very important thing. Protection up or shield up, if you get either of those, you lose protection and health. Yeah, to be clear, that's the enemy, guys. That is the enemy there. Also, First Order recovers health and protection and speed up when under a Kylo lead. So again, you can kind of see just with the main abilities already, guys, that the Kylo lead is very, very important. The Hux lead, yes, theoretically, you might be able to use it somewhere, but you're going to lose a lot of her kit already before we've even gotten into the uniques if you don't have a Kylo lead. So I really, really strongly suggest, guys, that you are using this under a crew and or a Slicker lead moving forward. All right, next up, we have the first unique. Don't be afraid of who you are. First of all, she gains 25% crit chance and crit damage. The abilities across the board, this is very powerful. All of her abilities cannot be evaded. So keep that in mind, guys, when you're doing your battles. I actually already forgot about this when I've been doing my 2 GAC battles with this team. I completely forgot that she can just totally, negate any foresight. So I was super worried about foresights. You don't need to be. She will cut right through all the foresight on the board. She also can recover protection based on the damage that she does with when she has retaliate. To be clear, if she doesn't have retaliate, then that does not happen. Also, she gets 50% speed while debuffed. This is a massive, 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 massive part of her ability, and is one of the biggest reasons there are some pretty healthy debates on how to mod her. We'll get into the mods a little bit later in the video, guys, but there's some pretty healthy debate in terms of which things should receive a priority for her. Also, she can revive. This is a huge part of the kit. It's really cool. She can revive an ally if she defeats the killer. That's the best way I could summarize this, guys. It's a much, much lengthier thing in the actual kit. There is a little blue death mark that happens. It's funny, when we've been doing the streams, everyone's like, what's that blue death mark? What's the blue death mark? The blue death mark shows you who defeated one of your allies. So when you go to attack, you can try to prioritize that character with Rey, and if she is able to defeat that character, then you revive your ally that was defeated by that character with 100% health. It's a really, really nice bonus. Personally, I have not been able to get it to work yet. But I'm sure it's going to be something that is pretty viable depending on how you mod her moving forward. She also reduces the protection if the enemy gains bonus turn meter. That's another nice thing that happens as well. So that's very anti-JMK in particular, guys. The Omicron itself, again, this is a GAC Omicron. This is one I definitely recommend. Personally, this is number 2 on your priority list. The special is number 3, this is number 2, and the next one we'll talk about is number 1. First Order recover protection when they have Retaliate. First Order also ignore taunt when they have advantage. Also, Malevolent Lineage, that's your third ability and or second special, the one we just went over, guys, is reset whenever Slicker goes into his ult, or that the aggressive stance is what they call that. So that's really, really nice. The Omicron here in particular, the big advantage of the Omicron is being able to ignore taunt when you have advantage. That allows you to be able to potentially counter some big teams like JMK. In the past, Slicker did not stand a chance against JMK. Now, because of that Omicron, it is possible. It's not easy. It's not easy. We actually just tried this last night in our GAC. We did lose. We were really, really close to beating it. And I think that if we had tweaked a little bit of our approach to the battle, we probably would have gotten the win. So again, it's very, very situationally dependent, but it can really help you to punch up significantly against many different comps. All right, her second unique, In Our Nature. In my opinion, this is the most important unique that she has in her kit. So first of all, she gains 100% health if all allies are first order. Okay, so all allies have to be first order. So this is another big reason why the Sith thing doesn't work super well, guys. We can already see a lot of her kit is revolving around Kylo leads of some kind. And in this case now, a lot of her kit gets neutered if it's not even first order. So Rey is also untargetable until all allies have taken a turn or they've been defeated. That is only applicable if you are under a Kylo lead. Again, huge problem if you are running Hux and or a Sith lead. Big no-no. Everyone loses 100% turn meter. By the way, I misspoke earlier, guys, on the special. The special Malevolent Lineage, only the enemies lose 100% turn meter. That is my fault. This, however, everyone loses 100% turn meter and gains advantage when an enemy is defeated. So if you guys don't know how the Slicker kit works, this is dependent on a Slicker lead. If you are running a crew lead, this does not happen. But if you are running a Slicker lead, guys, anytime he loses turn meter, he just gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. And actually the entire team does, to be clear, guys. So if this is happening, you're getting a reset in terms of turn meter. It's all about speed at that point. And your team is getting significantly harder to kill. This is a huge ability for this team in particular, especially if there are any teams out there that mess with turn meter at all. So keep that in mind if you're ever trying to think about teams that use turn meter. It is a big no-no against this team. You do not want to do that. Also, you reduce crit avoidance or you dispel buffs on the enemies when at less than 100% or reaches 100% health. So this is a complicated mechanism here, guys. But basically, you reduce the crit avoidance of the enemies if they go below 100% health. Once they come back up to 100% health, then they dispel all of the buffs that are on them. So that's kind of the simple way of explaining that part of the kit. It's a very, again, you can tell this is a very, very lengthy kit, guys. Now, getting into the Omicron itself, again, this is a GAC Omicron. This is personally what I think should be your number one priority in terms of Omicrons. Without a doubt, the uniques are your top two. If you're limited on Omicrons, guys, the uniques are your first priority. The special is nice, not as mandatory as these two are, though. So, with this one, in GAC, allies can't be defeated. That's massive. While Rey is untargetable. And if you remember, in our previous unique, here's the big caveat, that Rey cannot be defeated until all enemies have taken a turn or are defeated. So, huge part of her kit there, guys. Enemies also can't gain protection while under 100% health. Another big important part of the kit. And allies lose turn meter, but gain offense when debuffed. It's only 1%, but that's still a pretty important part of her kit. Your team is going to lose a little bit of turn meter, which means you're getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and you're also gaining offense anytime somebody debuffs you. So if you're facing somebody like Jabba, Leia, teams that are debuff heavy, they're going to melt against this First Order team when we have Darkside Rey on that team. We'll talk more about that testing here in a little bit, but really good uniques in particular. The uniques are what drive her kit. She's almost more of a support character, in my opinion, than she is a attacker, but she is labeled as an attacker, so keep that in mind, everybody. All right, in terms of modding, everyone, so there's some healthy debate in terms of which way she is best modded. Whatever you prioritize in her modding, the big three things that you want regardless are going to be health, speed, and offense. So if you remember, if it's an all First Order ally team, you gain 100% health. So health is kind of the unanimous, we want health. Everyone can pretty much agree that we want a lot of health on her. I think at minimum, you're probably looking for like 90,000 health on your Darkside Rey. Ideally, you're over 100%. I've seen some people that get upwards of like 115, 120,000 health. That's really good. And that's R8, to be clear, guys. If you're at R9, that's a much different number. But at R8, we're looking anywhere from 90 to 115 probably. At R9, that goes up to like 100 and, let's say 100 to 130 even. But you want a lot of health on her. The second thing, this is where we get a little bit more controversial, is the speed. In terms of whether you put a speed set on her or an all health set on her. I don't think anybody out there right now is recommending offense sets. That may change over time, to be clear, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's either going to be speed set with health and offense primaries, secondaries, or it's going to be all health sets with loads of speed and offense. It's probably going to be one of the two. But speed is very important. In my opinion, you want her at minimum probably around the 320 mark. Ideally, I think you want her up closer to 340, 350. Mine is currently at just under 340, and I've found through my testing in GA, not in GAC so much because I've done more Squad Arena because she's limited to GAC right now, guys. But in my testing, I much preferred her at that 330 plus speed mark versus a 300 speed mark. She just doesn't go enough to really make a big difference in the match, in my opinion, when you're at that 300 mark or below. In terms of offense, you want offense because remember, she is an attacker, and a lot of the recovery that she has built into her kit with Retaliate is based off of her offense. And if you want to be able to revive your allies, you need to be able to kill opponents. So you can't just stack health and speed and ignore offense. The offense is still a very important part of her kit. The question just becomes, do you want her to be thicker and more survivable, thus prioritizing health? Or do you want her to potentially be able to recover more and possibly defeat an enemy, which means you want more offense? That's kind of the big debate right now in the community, guys. Me personally, I'm going more with an offense build. I prioritize the offense primaries over the health primaries, and I look for health secondaries. I just like that better, personally. But again, that may evolve and shift over time. We'll see on that one. But that's kind of where I'm at currently after a week of testing. In terms of defense, so I don't personally recommend defense, but let's say that you have a great defense set. Okay, we're not talking defense primaries here. That is not an option, guys. But let's say that you have a great defense set that has, you know, an insanely high offense and health and speed secondaries and or primaries. That's a viable option instead of health. So I just wanted to point that out, that is a possible option if you have those amazing secondaries that fit with her kit and what you're looking for. You could feasibly put that on her if you would like. But again, I recommend health and speed or all health sets. One of those two, everyone. With that being said, I'm going to show you guys the her character roster itself, show you just what I have, so for reference here, guys. So her overall stats, because I'm sure you guys are all interested in this, I have her at 95,000 health, I have her at 339 speed, and she's at 8,838 damage. So I prioritized offense a little bit more so than I did the thickness. I think your ideal number is probably around 100,000 health, 340 speed if you can get that, and probably 8,500 damage. I think that's the number that everyone should be looking for. The reason mine is like it is right now, like I said, is because I prioritized offense primaries. Offense on my triangle, offense on my cross, and then obviously health on my circle. I haven't heard anybody do this yet, but I would be intrigued to see. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you've done this and you think it's actually better. But with all the crit chance and crit damage that she has baked in her kit, and the first order kit with all the advantage, I wouldn't be shocked if a crit damage triangle might actually be better than an offense triangle or a health triangle primary, either way. If you guys are running a crit damage triangle, let me know in the comments below and what your feelings are on that, and if you think it's actually better than offense or health primary. But anyway, you guys can see I've got some decent speed secondaries on there. Some of them are great. This one I actually just re-rolled to get to that 28, so that's really nice. But like I said, ideally, like this one in particular, ideally I'd get that up a little bit higher than 19, but I have not had luck with that so far. So again, it just comes down to what you're looking for, guys. Do you want her to be thicker? Do you want her to be more offensive? Test it, give it a try, find out what you like. Like I said, personally, I like it when she is faster and she hits harder than necessarily her being thicker. Because quite frankly, if you're relying on her to not die, you're probably already in a bad spot in the battle. You want to be on the offensive, in my opinion, with her. All right, back to the actual evaluation of her kit, guys. Next up, we're going to be looking at the game mode grades. So, taking all of the kit, all of the testing that we have done so far, and how she works and how she doesn't work, we're going to look at the grades here, individually and then in overall. So first of all, the raid grade. Clearly, at the moment, guys, there is no first order raid. And I don't foresee a first order raid anywhere near in the future. So because of that, we're giving her an F. Maybe we have a Sith raid down the road. I doubt it. Even if we do, she's not going to be very good in a Sith setting. So most likely she's going to be an F on the raid, guys. So don't expect to get any benefit from that. In terms of Galactic challenges, her kit's pretty limited in terms of unique debuffs and or unique buffs. The only thing that I can see her really being super beneficial with is turn meter removal. So all of those turn meter removal feats where you have to get like 400% turn meter removed, she might actually be super beneficial in those kinds of Galactic Challenge feats. Beyond that, she doesn't add a whole lot. Even in terms of first order specific things. So remember, the survivability of this team only happens in GAC. She doesn't really add a lot of survivability to the first order team outside of that game mode. So if you're trying to, win with a full team of first order, yes, you might win. But more importantly, if you're trying to win without losing a first order unit, you're probably not going to make that work. In fact, we just had an assault battle recently where you could use either Sith or first order. I am still yet to 3-star the max tier on that. I can't do it. I just can't get it to work, guys. Where you're facing Grandmaster Yoda, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So I took this first order team in with her in there. I still got obliterated. It still didn't work. Because remember, most of that survivability of her kit is only applicable in GAC. So she's not going to be very good in any PvE content because of that. TB, same idea. While she might add a little bit of survivability to Slicker in particular, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Now, yes, I understand a Slicker team, guys, probably is an A-tier TB team. I get that. They're very good in TB overall because of how much he can stack his stats and everything. But in terms of what she brings to the table for that team, there's not a lot. So I'm giving her a C on that because of that. She just doesn't add very much in that regard. It's all because of Slicker. Conquest, same idea. She doesn't really add a lot of survivability. She doesn't really add any unique feats to the kit, like in Galactic Challenges like we talked about. And we can't remove turn meter for feats in Conquest. So I think she's very limited in that as well. She is very much not a PvE-friendly character, in my opinion. Now, where she does shine a lot more is in PvP content. With that being said, in TW, she's still kind of limited, in my opinion. So while she is very much GAC favored, she does add some things to her kit that make this team a lot better. The reference I'll use is, so I tested this a little bit in Squad Arena, which is essentially what you're going to see in TW as well. And while we could beat Jabba in the past, and we could theoretically beat Leia in the past, the banners were absolutely horrendous. And in TW, that actually does apply a little bit because you're losing characters in those battles. Well, with her on the team, even though she doesn't add a ton of survivability, she's going to help you at least keep some of those banners. So she does get a little bit of a bump in TW. She doesn't necessarily make this team amazing in TW. It's not like Ezra was with Ahsoka, that kind of thing, or more accurately, Sabine was with Ahsoka. But she will help a little bit, particularly on offense. On defense, I don't see this working very well personally. But offensively, she does add a little bit to it and does help a little bit. All right, now, with that being said, GAC, this is kind of the big grade. This is where she really is meant to shine. This is where she's going to be at her best, right? So, against Jabba, we said in TW that she's going to help them a lot. In GAC, she absolutely obliterates Jabba teams under a slicker lead, and your banners are significantly better. Like we said earlier, remember guys, it's a very debuff heavy team with Jabba, so your team is going to be stacking stats on top of stats on top of stats because of the whole Terminator removal aspect of things and the offense stacking. So you get great results against a Jabba. You also get very good results against C. Nothing changes there, really. That's just always been the case. But more than anything else, Leia. This is a game changer against Leia in particular, guys. You are able to just destroy Leia comps if they're on defense because of the debuffs and because of what her kit does in terms of when she gets debuffed and she gains speed and she gains the shock on them, and she just, there's so many good things about her kit. She is very clearly designed to counter Leia teams in particular. So this is a great team on offense against Leia especially. Now, when we start to punch up a little bit more and take on teams like JMK, it gets rougher, okay? Yes, it can beat a JMK team, but it is very difficult and it's very tricky. But it can work. It's not really designed to be amazing against a JMK. There are parts of her kit that are built in to help you against that, but it's not easy, guys. The bigger question, I think, comes down to defense. Is she going to be this amazing stalwart defensive comp like a lot of people thought when we saw her kit initially? The answer to that is no. This team gets wrecked by Bane, guys. Bane and whoever else just destroys this team. Do not put it on defense. With that being said, I still am going to give it an A. I'm still going to give it an A because she is really adding a ton of nuance to the offensive side of these slicker teams and really boosts the kit and the survivability and the banner scores a lot in GAC. Where we see the lack of amazingness is on the defensive side, guys. Like I said, it's just not Bane-proof. And if you're not Bane-proof in GAC, you probably shouldn't be a super great defensive team, in my opinion. Especially not for a GL. If it's a non-GL team, that's a different story. But for a GL in particular, yeah, not that great. Again, you guys have seen some footage while I'm talking here with all of this. You can see how she kind of does in terms of offense with Slicker lead, in particular against Jabba. And how she does not do so well on defense, in particular against Bane. Again, you guys can just kind of see what I'm talking about with all of that stuff. So that brings us to the next question, which is, what is her overall grade, and is she worth you going for and investing in? With everything that we have said, if you are a GAC-heavy player, and you are all about GAC, and you are all about trying to beat other people with your rosters, she's pretty good. And I think she's absolutely worth going for if you have first order. If you don't care at all about GAC or PvP content and you just like to collect things in the game, she's not that great. She really, really takes a backseat significantly compared to what a lot of us thought she was going to do initially. With that being said, I still think she's a B grade overall. She might even venture on B+, depending on how you kind of weight your characters. But we're definitely seeing some weaknesses with this comp, like I said, on defense in particular in GAC, and she really lacks in a lot of the PvE content, guys. And to be clear, she meaning the entire First Order team. There's still a total lack of survivability with this team, under a slicker lead specifically. Does that change under crew? Maybe a little bit. But she is not Ezra level, guys. Ezra got an A from us. Ezra has a lot of flexibility in terms of the rosters that he goes with. He does amazing things under all of the rosters that he works with. She is hard stuck basically into a First Order comp. Does not do well with Sith. And she's very limited to GAC only. It does not really do anything outside of GAC. So as cool as her kit looks on paper, it's only a B. It's only a B. But yes, I do still recommend you go for her, guys. I don't regret taking her to R8 and putting all the Omicrons and Zetas on her. I don't regret it at all. But if you're someone that doesn't care at all about GAC or PvP content, take your time. There's no reason to rush this at all. Go for other things that you might like or that you think are going to be better in PvE content, because she's really just not that worthwhile outside of GAC in particular. So, hopefully, that helps you guys to kind of get a better idea overall of what she brings to the table and how good she is as a character in our Making the Grade segment. If you guys agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you don't agree with me and you think I'm totally crazy, also let me know in the comments. Either way, I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter, guys. Okay, last but not least, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, I would obviously greatly appreciate it if you gave the video a like. If you want to continue catching more of the content we got here, guys, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any content down the road. Last but not least, just want to give a shout out to all of our patrons, guys. Could not do this without them. They give us amazing support and keep this place alive and keep what we do possible. So thank you so much to all of our patrons, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next time.
This place just cannot be beat.